Yeah, this is Point Black, coming in hard and off the car, coming with the flow straight from the barrio, and coming with that heat from the damn street. This is PBNN Point Black, national news, the late and the great edition, and the ghetto edition as well. Like I said, coming with the flow from the barrio, the heat from the street, and the facts are cracked backs. PBNN, Point Blank, National News, the late and the great edition, and the ghetto edition as well. Now, today, we're going to catch up on some news and what's going on out there in the real world and the different shit that seems to be flopping and flipping and flipping and flopping. And we need to be up on it because it's highly important that we do so. You know what I mean? This is one of the major things that we found ourselves involved with that seems to be not the greatest things that are going on in our country, you know, in more ways than one. And we begin to see that this seems to be a pattern of that type of situation that we keep on seeing. You know what I'm saying? That we keep on seeing. So, we have to now find ways to, watch this thing unfurl. And at the same time, we have to make sure that, you know, we keep our eye on things. We keep our eye on things. We can't let things slip away from us. And then when we find ourselves in complete peril, it's another situation even based on that. It's another situation even based on that. So today, we're going to just, breeze through our little newscast, make sure we see what's going on out there because it's important that we do. It doesn't matter who's listening, who's spying, or whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, all they're doing to me is basically, in more ways than one, trying to avoid the inevitable. You know what I'm saying? And that's something you're just not going to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are stone bent on this type of mind frame in this type of games. But at this particular time in our venture and in our lives and aging and coming up in age and so forth and so on, we the people must now start to take account for what we allowed to happen over the many years through the con artist games that they do play. You know what I'm saying? And it's important that we understand that. We can't just let them slide and glide and think that they could just go over here, do this, go over here, do that, and just slide out. You know what I'm saying? And just slide out. This has been the problem. And then come make another, let's hypothetically or whatever say that Trump did win the election and he gets another, 8 years. Okay, now say he gets another 8 years. After that 8 years, who's going to take Trump's place? Let's say Trump do get in there, straighten things out, everything starts to look sweet and so forth and so on. How are we going to be able to make sure that that is something that will happen? You know what I mean? So we have to look at these things because we're gonna need this heroin. But let's say Trump do get in there and he straighten things out and everything go good. You know what I'm saying? And then we get to the point where now it's time for someone to take the place and make sure he bring the same type of vibes of straightening out the country, keeping it on the right track, yeah, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? Because the demon Democrats, they ain't going to let that rest. You know what I mean? Even if they have to endure 8 years, they're going to be attacking, they're going to be doing every schematical game that you could possibly earn to your state, the President of the United States. This can't be happening. If we're going to put a candidate and he's going to win the chief and commander seat, having power over the military, having power, over the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Secret Service, the SEAL Team 6, and Delta, and all this different stuff. You know what I mean? Even stuff that, you know what I'm saying, when you look at it, you know what I'm saying, when you look at it, even stuff that is top secret and so on and so on. So you can, they just going to sit there and he's going to let that slide to where they're not in position to be able to call. No, they're not. They're going to try every move, every attack, every scheme, every mind, psychic control. They're probably going to hit us with biological weapons. They're going to hit us with biological diseases. They're going to hit us with biological pandemics. They're going to hit us with everything you've got. And we've got to be prepared for that. I'm coming up off here. So we see that in itself. And we know that they're not going to let it out. Now, even when we look at today's news, which we're going to go through, as we mentioned in the beginning, it's something that we have to constantly do anyway. We have to look at what the current events and what is taking place in our government as we see it. You know, even when we starting off with today's news on, you know, many things that's going on. So we see here where COVID shots. So this news report coming in by Brenda Goodman, CNN Lioness News, as usual, 20 hours ago Eastern Standard Time. We see where they're now saying that COVID shots may slightly increase the risk of stroke in older adults, particularly when administered with certain flu vaccines. Now, that happened even before that probably too. So you really, whatever. Okay? But that's what the news is saying. I think, because to me this is just finding a way out of their bullshit to explain, the deaths that have occurred. Which is completely out of the question, out of the way, out of the scene, and out of nonsense that this come. Where the vaccines for the COVID-19 and the flu influenza may slightly increase the risk of a stroke caused by blood clots in the brains and in the brains of seniors, particularly when the two vaccine is given at the same time. But that's too late for that anyway, and too much of that has already happened, and we're not going to go down. You can make your own choices as to what you do. This is the news, and the news has given you the information. You have probably seen it yourself. But with me here where a candidate has come up on the radar based on, a lot of bull seems to be going on in our political system or arena, which we must quell, because it's important that the election go down in its trueness and fairness this time around, without manipulations, without crooked shit, without bullshit, without all types of con, all this screwball shit, just to put this clown in there so he can go in and cause major wars. He can spend up all our money. He can flew the inflation clean off the roof by blowing the debt ceiling and spending millions and trillions of dollars that the American people would never see. Only certain ones may see even close to that. You know what I'm saying? He full of shit. But we see a demon Democratic candidate for mayor in New Jersey, borough, brought bag, pull. I guess he's saying the demon Democratic candidate, a mayor in New Jersey, brought a bag full of fake ballots to the post office. What is that, a joke? You know what I'm saying? For real. But we see here ooh, they funny. You know what I'm saying? Now they ain't even coming up. Oh wow. Oh, wow. You see what I'm saying? Let's check out the full page. Now, we see here where Attorney General Matthew J. You know what I'm saying? This is a prime example, even though it's like we're not sure 100%. We don't know. This is what the news is saying based on this, and this is coming in by uh, breaking news, feature news, New Jersey news, North New Jersey news, police blotter, and politics by Phil. Look like Stilton. You know what I'm saying? October 25th, 2023. You know what I'm saying? No Eastern Standard Time was given. But at the same time, we're trying to say Attorney General Matthew J. Mr. Matthew J. Uh, Platskin look like Plattk. You know what I'm saying? In Plakin or whatever his name is. Announced charges of election. He announced charges of election fraud against Dr. What his name is? Henrylin I Abizin, I guess that's his name, a former marital candidate, and in Plainfield. He was a candidate, a marital candidate in Plainfield. I think his name is Ibezim. You know what I'm saying? Abzin or whatever his name is, Ibzin or whatever, alleged, orchestrated a mail. He orchestrated the mailing of hundreds of false voter registration application to Union County election officials. The charges follow an investigation by Office of Public Integrity. Oh, it's nice to hear such a beautiful name. I wish he was there when this shit took place with Donald Trump and the creep Joe Biden scene. You know what I'm saying? But we're at the integrity and the accountability, the OPIA, Corruption Bureau. It looks like Abzin or whatever his name is, 68, is accused of directing associates to campaign volunteers, no, associates and campaign volunteers to fill out false voter registration applications, which were then sent to the Union County Commissioner of Registration. Abzin was observed on May 18th, 2021, at the U.S. Post Office on North Broad Street, Broad whatever street, in Elizabeth, carrying a trash bag contained 954 voters registration applications. Investigators later found many of the forms displayed the same handwriting. Mhm. Attempting to tamper with an election result through fraud impairs the ability of a legitimate voter to choose their representative. A a cornerstone of America's democracy, said that the Attorney General Blackett or whatever his name is, said it also undermines the legitimacy. Well, what I'm saying, this is fine and dandy, and I'm glad that you caught him, but whatever the case may be, but this doesn't still take the excuse of the demon Democrats for cheating the election when it came to Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? To me, this is just hogwash in itself, to make the demon Democrats look like as if they're really going to be catching a whole lot of fraud in our election process. Yeah, when? Not in 47 years. I'm going to see. You know what I'm saying? But we see here another one coming up, Barriers Football. You know, and he's singing a song, and we want to see what song he's singing. Because, like I said, this is today's news, and we're just running it down. the line. As we go, you see Michael Cohen dropped one big bombshell, but his testimony at the New York fraud trial was eclipsed by Trump. This is coming in by Laura Italiano, it looked like, 18 hours ago, Eastern Standard Time. But we see here where, you know, hold on a second. We see here where Michael Cohen finished testifying Wednesday, his second day on the stand, at the Trump New York, pro trial. He threw one good punch in the matter, and he remained calm under cross-examination by the Trump lawyer, Arlene Haber. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's gonna remain calm. You're a lying motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You're a scheming motherfucker. Of course, he's gonna stay calm. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But Trump gag order, antics upstage Cohen's testimony and, commandeered Wednesday headlines. Now, a sometime period, sometime funny cross-examination of Donald Trump's OG fraud witness, Michael Cohen ended in Manhattan on Wednesday after a defense lawyer, spent a day knitting him with questions, about betrayal and perjury. You know what I'm saying? Well, we know it's betrayal, and we know it's treason, and we damn sure know they're full of shit, and it's one fiasco sideshow. You know what I'm saying? But we see Cohen, remained unrattled, to his second and final day of the testimony in Trump's ongoing civil fraud trial. Imagine now. Imagine that. Now, despite getting grilled about his previous lies and about how after, decades in Trump's inner circle, he never got a job in the Trump's White House and now makes a living writing anti-Trump books and hosting a podcast attacking the president, just like Letitia James attacking the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Yeah, baby. Just like Letitia James, Fat Boy Braggs, and the rest of the clowns in the mixture. Ain't nothing but a three-ring circus. Now, when we look at, English matter, you thought you were going to be named chief of staff in Trump's White House. Yeah, he was going to be named chief of staff and bring in crookedness into Trump's White House, especially when we look at the vice president, Michael Nutcase, whatever his name, Mike the Nutgut, Root Bowl, Twisted motherfucker, Michael Pence. You know what I'm saying? So, we see that. Same thing with this clown. What's the difference? He thought he was going to be named chief of staff, just like you had Hillary Clinton and her crooked ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Secretary of State, Secretary of killing our states. You know what I'm saying? He'll murder everybody if he had to. Crooked ass. But anyway, when we look at this, he wanted to be named chief of staff in the Trump's White House. You know what I'm saying? Firebrand defense lawyer, look like Alina, you know what I'm saying, Haba or whatever, told Cohen at one point her voice, you know what I'm saying, what acoustic, ac- accused, seratory, whatever, and loud. Okay, we know what it means. No matter if I pronounce the word or not, you know what it means. Allowing that she was driving the questions home. But then he said, "No, I did not." Cohen protests from the witness stand in one of the rare moments that his voice rose to meet Haber's volume. You know what I'm saying? It was a joke. He said, despite a 2017 text chain in which he bragged he'd get the position. Oh, yeah. To do what? The same thing Pence did? Be a traitor? Anyway, you have made a career out of publicly attacking Donald J. Trump, Trumpy Bear, baby. Haven't you? Yes, he did. Just like Letitia Dumbass. Jeez. You know what I'm saying? Haber asked at another point, Cohen paused before even responding. Yes, Cohen's life as Trump's nemesis in chief nemesis in chief is a far cry from that of a young man who once sound, who once so admired Donald J. Trump. He read The Art of the Deal twice in college, Cohen testified. You know what I mean? You once stated that you would take a bullet for Donald J. Trump. He is now. Mm-hmm. Have to remind him. You know what I'm saying? But we see what Cohen is full of shit. He's full of doo-doo, or whatever the case may be in this clown show. However, the scheme will be. To me, he's still full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, but we see here where a fight broke out. A fight broke out. And it's getting too hot to trap out there. But we also see a lot of bull that's taking place in the Gaza Strip, killing kids, and so on and so on. We catching a lot of flack and hearing a lot of genocidal moves, and then we're hearing they're blaming the children of the Palestinians. And Hamas is probably blaming their Jewish children but they're Jewish. And you're white. You don't belong there. You have bullied your way in Africa, just like you always have, and take over people's land and claim it and then create a military backed by the United States government, you know what I'm saying, which is true because that's what you really are. You know what I'm saying? And every time something happens, the United States runs there with their military ships and all their blasting cannons and all their rocket launchers and everything. And while the people thinking that it is on the ground, on the force, it's really America doing all that firing and shooting. So we have a conflict of interest here that does not prove any justification to an occupation in the Gaza Strip and is now creating genocide in its fullness. Yes, you are. And then you don't even want, according to NPR and different news scores, you know what I'm saying, news sources, you don't even want the journalists to report the massacre. How can a so-called invasion, to me, Americans really, move into Africa, take over a spot, a strategical spot as well, you know what I'm saying, and persecuting the people by using a Bible to say that this is this and this is that, and you're the chosen people. So you have, and the chosen land is Africa, but you're white. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make much sense, do it? So you try to write your way into Africa. You try to kill your way into Africa. You try to rape, murder, sex traffic, every single thing you could possibly think of in your Luciferian blood-sucking mind, and move into Africa, in that region. You and Arabs and all kinds of the people moved into Africa. Didn't bring anything good into Africa except hell and harem. You know what I'm saying? Under the pretense notion, to me, under a false religion, or a religion that you either stole, adopted, rewrite, carn it, twist it, screwballed it, and then fed it down the throats of the people by violence, murder, killing, and persecution and slavery. And now you want people to respect that as to the fact that you belong there. And you are fighting for real estate that don't belong to you. You are fighting for real estate that you criminally took by feeding in the minds of the people this so-called religion and spreading it all across the world with a book. And then when nobody accepted the book, you brought violence and killing to them, and slavery, and rape, and all kind of pedophilia nonsense. So when we read the book and we look into the book, it has only you as the chosen race on planet Earth. Much less even when you had racism by your kind, white people again. This is not to blame them, but we must look at the facts. You did the same thing to black people, and black people did the same thing to black people, probably even white people as well. With your back and forth, nigger loving, cracker sucking asses. And all to me that you did was destabilize the very tranquil life that could be. And you sit there and use this Bible, pushing it down the minds of the throats, going all over the world doing so-called missions and building missionaries. You know what I'm saying? Beating the people, feeding the people, and forcing the people into this bullshit through violence, guns, and all type of nonsensical garbage. And moving to the strip, because we talking about all around the world and at this point, and solely what took place in the slavitical era. On both sides of the skin color. And many others. Don't give me that bull. Because historically, we know the Arabs came with that in itself, before the Caucasian in itself. But you use that, and then you go around and then you spread it. So now the whole world thinks that black people is 3/5 of a human being, based on even the Constitution to keep the black people dehumanized. And anybody that seems severe because you went on a Negro campaign to make everybody believe that black people were second-class citizens or second-class or not even a citizen or human in its fullness at all. But if that's the case, why the fuck you gotta use the bathroom? Why the fuck you gotta take a shit? Why the fuck you gotta take a piss? Why the fuck you gotta drink water? Why the fuck you do the same things that everybody else do? Is there anything else new? So that should ground your ass right there. Now, when it comes to the second class and 3/5 of a human being, this was done by oppressional force, not by the natural overstand of creation in itself. or what they call creation, or what we see as creation. So when you look at you presenting this to the world under force, under violence, under killing, under missions, under going across the country, even in Indian land and African land in America and all that kind of stuff, what we call America, it was African land and all that, and going in there, converting the people and all that. That's why they use the word convert. You know what I'm saying? Converting the people, because you got the rest of the world believing that your religion is the only religion, and that's the religion that the God said, and God said this, and God said that, and all that, which is a lie to me. There is no actual scientific facts to that proof in no shape or form. Now, if you see it, then prove it. So it can be scrutinized as if it is or is not the truth. Nobody's here to just denounce it. But you went around, and now the whole of you, assisted by even the Negroes, push forward this idea that black people is 3/5 of a human being. So we could go in there and bang them out, rape them out, gut them out like a fish, you know what I'm saying, have a dinner, eat them, all types of nonsensical nonsense. When in actuality, this has taken place against the very Neanderthalistic looking people that migrated from the mountains into Africa. And the Africans were killing them because they look like monkeys and they look like animals. So the Africans were killing them because remember, the Africans were here billions of years, trillions of years, gazillions of years, zillions of years before they were even around. So when they started to come down and seek into Africa because of what the confusion, they can't even live civilized. You know what I'm saying? They like animals beating each other with a club. You know what I'm saying? If you look at many church statues, you'll see he's carrying a Neanderthal billy club. But anyway, when you look at it, you know what I'm saying? They come into Africa, but the Africans, you know, way ahead. So they thought they were animals and they were killing them and eating them probably, till they realized that they were a human being or some form of humankind. Rather than keep on that traditional practice, they started to take them in, clean them up because they smell terrible. Yeah, even the women, you know, take them in, clean them up, and became mates with them to mate out of them that look. Even the men. But the men were too uncivilized and too wild and crazy and carrying on, so they had to be driven out again. But many stayed. That's why you'll find many were buried next to Africans, because they were breeding with them to bring new children forward that would look like what they look like today. Now, this could be theoretical in itself, but when it comes to you saying God did it, and you can't prove it, and then you write a book and you drive across the land this nonsense and put it in the minds of the people so you could go out and do whatever you want to anybody at any time under this pretense, you brought that into the Gaza Strip and into Africa, Egypt. Now, there must be a coexistence and not a genocide. And that goes for Hamas understanding its ground to stand ground. But at the same time, if you're fighting for Palestine, then you must stand ground. Israel must back off its oppression or its persecution in trying to bring that into the Gaza Strip, because we know for well you have no rights there. Neither one of y'all when it comes down to it. But at the same time, you are there. So while you have the world thinking that you are the holy people and everybody must run to your rescue, like America, because we know why it was put there, cut the anti-Semitic game out. Stop using that. It's not going to work. Because what you're doing there does not show who you are, who you're saying that you are. And you constantly there when you went in, you was warring against three different nations that were in Africa that had been there a long time: Iraq, Iran, and Egypt. And America forced you in there by giving you that military power, same as we see up in Ethiopia and Sudan, Congo, and all that. This is all brought by America. So the people that calling themselves Jews that are in Israel, or whatever you rename the place Israel, or whatever you did in the invasion, you know what I'm saying, are just really white people. They're not the 144,000 and all the special things that they talk about. Because you wrote the book. So you get to choose all that stuff in the book. But the sad part about it is you jam it down everybody else's throat. And you forgot about the truth. And you thought that your book will serve as a truth to give you the justification to do what you're doing right now in the Gaza Strip. Now, we cannot go one side without the other. Now, 75 years of this going on, of the invasion, and we have Hamas and different groups that have been fighting over those years. My question would be to many of you, both sides of you, aren't you tired? How many blood and guts is going to be on your hands is the question I'm asking, before a final solution is truly reached. And we know what the solution must contain of. So Hamas has to also understand that, and many people saying that war and stuff won't bring a solution, but you've been warring for 75 years. My question is, what solution did it really bring, other than you staying there as the occupation? You're killing off the people trying to kill you off and your people, and it's going back and forth and forth and forth. So to one point, you got to the point where now you're going to do the full genocidal genocide to the Palestinian people, I guess, and take over the whole area like you always wanted to do. Now, Hamas has got to understand that you have to come to some kind of diplomatic understanding and decree Joe Biden and the American system of government and those who govern our government and chief of commander seat and all those who is in bed with Israel must come to some kind of understanding and stop trying to protect the truth from coming out. Because we're hearing that you're killing off even the press, the reporters, and then telling them over here in America that they can't report the truth about what's going on and this and that and the third. What make Israel, what make that them invasion and occupation called Israel be so special over everyone else in the world to where you are even blackballing students because they have a opposition to your mission? And they're speaking out about it. Let's just be honest.